Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Yazid bin Muhammad Saleh and you are at Aspire Institute Studio. In this video, we are going to talk about 3 common mistakes new students of Al-Quran should avoid. Alright. So for me to explain that, so I'm going to use my blackboard. So let's go to my blackboard. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So let's start with Bismillahirrahmanirrahim and then go straight to the topic. Okay, what is the mistake number 1, right? So mistake number 1 is that thinking that it's hard, right? Keep thinking that it's hard. So how do we avoid this? How do we avoid thinking that learning to read Al-Quran is hard? Okay. So what I teach my students is that there is no such thing as hard. Okay. There is no such thing as hard. Okay. Only new. So there is no such thing as hard, only new, right? So think about it, right? When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent you to this earth, when you were born, right? That you know nothing, everything is new, everything is hard, right? To walk is hard, right? To speak is hard. To ask for food is hard, that you cry, right? So everything is hard, but along the way, you learn. You learn how to walk, you learn how to write, you learn how to speak, you learn how to listen, right? You learn to do many things. But somehow or other, after a while, you start to learn that some things are hard, right? So, but in my point of view, there is no such thing as hard because let's say, for example, a person who learns to swim, right? So he will say or she will say that swimming is hard, but you see a lot of people swimming, right? And then some can even swim from one continent to another continent, right? Is it right? Yeah, I think so. Right? Yeah, and some people can swim laps, right? Hundreds of laps even, right? So how do they do that? Right? They do that because, right? It's not hard, right? So when they started, it's just new, and then they just continue practicing, 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 and practicing, right? So the first common mistake is when it's a mindset mistake. People think that learning to read Al-Quran is hard. So it's not hard, it's just new. There are even some students who are saying, Ustaz, I'm dyslexic. Ustaz, I am, when the words combine, when the letters, alphabets combine, I get confused easily. So these are all not reasons. These are all actually there's one, I want to say the word excuses, right? So these are even not excuse, it's just lack of practice. So if you just practice, right, you just practice more, you'll be able to overcome this, right? So every time you think that it's hard, no, it's not hard, it's just new. So after new, it's just gonna be that thing that you do every day, right? So to overcome this new thing, we just need to do it every day. Okay, so that's mistake number 1. Mistake number 1, thinking that uh, uh that it is hard, right? So let's go to mistake number 2, right? So mistake number 2, this will take a bit more time to explain. Mistake number 2 is thinking that knowledge acquisition is equals to what? Maybe make it smaller. Okay. Mistake number two is thinking that knowledge acquisition is equals to skill acquisition. Okay, or maybe we can simplify that we think that knowledge equals skill. Okay, right? So knowledge is not equals to skill, right? So for example, if you listen to a sermon, if you listen to a khutbah, once a week, right? The imam or the ustaz teach you something that you can remember. So for example, or the 5 pillars of Islam, right? So you just need to learn that once and then you know that. So that is knowledge, right? But when it comes to reading the Quran is a lot more about skill, because reading the Quran is actually you acquiring a new language, right? So language is a skill. So you need to practice every day. So skill acquisition and knowledge acquisition is not the same. So when a person think that, oh, I can just do this once a week, so they are making a mistake. Why? Because the moment you say you are going to do this once a week and then you're going to go to the next week thinking that you're going to remember what you learned this week, by the time you reach next week, you already forgotten up to 80% of what you learned this week. And that happens all the time. And that is why at Aspire Institute nowadays, we don't have a once a week class anymore. All of our classes are more to once, like daily classes, right? So students will just come once a week for check-in, right? And then check-in session. But then most of the real acquisition of skill and knowledge is done on a daily basis, right? So so the answer here, knowledge is not equals to skill, right? So knowledge maybe you do once or 2 times or 3 times, right? It is sufficient, right? But when it comes to skill, you will have to refine your skill. You have to do it again and again and again and again until you become so good at it, right? Okay, now one of the most important thing that I like to explain when I explain about knowledge and skill acquisition is that to ask people what is the purpose. Okay, all right. Maybe I go to the next slide, right? So maybe we erase this. Okay, and then we go to the next slide. Okay. Ask yourself what is the purpose of knowledge. What is the purpose of knowledge? So if your answer is the purpose, so this is question, right? So if your answer is the purpose of knowledge is to know, then the answer is wrong. The purpose of knowledge is not to know, okay? The purpose of knowledge is to master, right? So then the next natural question is, what is mastery? Okay. Question, what is mastery? Okay. And the answer is that mastery is the ability, your ability to execute execute without using conscious, S-E-I-O, resources. Okay. So the ability to execute. So your ability to do something. Ability to execute means ability to do something. So for example, just now when we say that when we were born, we know nothing, right? We only know how to cry. And the reason why we cry is because everything is hard. And the reason why everything is hard because actually everything is new, right? And then after that, we learn to do, right? We learn to ask for drink by crying. We learn us to eat by crying, right? But then after that, we learn other things. We learn how to walk. We learn how to run. We learn how to jump, right? So, and the reason why we are able to do that is because we master. Right? At first, it was very hard to walk. It was very hard to run. But then we do it every day. When we do every day, we master. And now we can do those things without using conscious resources. So think about it like this. When we first learn how to tie our shoelace, right? So it is actually very hard. We need to use all our conscious resources to tie a ribbon, right? Right? So, but then after doing it again and again and again, we achieve mastery. Now we can tie our shoelace without even looking at the shoelace. While talking to our friends, while listening to a podcast, and while eating a chewing gum or chewing a chewing gum, right? Right. So, like, we are able to do without using conscious resources. So the purpose of learning something is not just to know. A lot of people know the huruf al-hijaiyah, alif, bata, sajim, hafa, until ya, but they have not yet mastered it. Okay. How to say alif, the huruf al-hijaiyah with fathah, and then with kasrah, and then with dhamma, and then with sukun, right? So these are the what it means, right? To achieve mastery is to achieve the ability to execute, means to do without using conscious resources, right? And then the way you do that is by practicing, right? Training means practicing and training means what? You repeat, right? And instead of waiting 1 week to repeat, right? You can repeat every day, right? So don't wait until 1 week. So I'm not saying if you are actually learning at a center and then you are doing once a week, I'm not telling you to quit now, right? I'm just saying that even though your lesson is once a week, you should do the practice every day. All right. So maybe put aside 10 minutes, 20 minutes for you to practice, right? And then, you do it, right? You do it every day. Okay. So that will lead us to the final mistake. Okay, the mistake number 3. Mistake number 3. Yeah, thinking, thinking once a week is sufficient. Okay. So the answer is once a week is not sufficient, right? So maybe we don't write that. So thinking once a week is sufficient is mistake number 3, which a lot of people do, right? So how to counter that, right? Even though if you are doing once a week at a center, or once a week ustaz come to your place, or you go to see your ustaz or ustazah, in between the sessions, you must practice. And you how to practice. So you have to put an alarm in your iPhone or Android phone, right? And then put like when is this 10 minutes or 20 minutes that you are going to do on a daily basis, right? So once you put that, oh, okay, Monday I'm going to do my 10 minutes this time. And then Tuesday at this time. So once you know that, right, just keep it on repeat. So every day, right, you do it again and again and again, right? So ask your teacher, ask your ustaz or ustazah, okay, for this 1 week, what should I practice, right? So it's the practice that is gonna make you master, right? Because you do it again and again and again, right? So there we have it, right? So if you want to summarize, mistake number one is thinking that it's hard, right? Means thinking that it's hard, so there is no such thing as hard, only new. Mistake number two, okay, thinking that knowledge acquisition is equals to skill acquisition, and the answer is knowledge is not equals to skill, right? And then so that means you have to practice. And then mistake number three, thinking that once a week is sufficient. And the answer is once a week is not sufficient. And you have to do it daily, 10 minutes and 20 minutes a day, but repeated every day is sufficient, right? So that's all from me. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to learn the language of the Quran, or you want to learn how to read the Quran, I have a free ebook that I want to give you. So all you need to do is leave a comment, right? And then I'm going to send it to you, right? Or you can also search the description below, right? So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.